Hey everyone. If you're gearing up for the TAT exam, you're going to want to stick around. We're diving deep into one of the biggest topics on the test, growth and development. Think of this as your ultimate study guide. We're going to lock in the key concepts you absolutely positively have to know. Ready? Let's jump right in.
So let's kick things off with the big one, a question that pops up on the exam all the time in some way, shape, or form. What really is the difference between growth and development? It seems simple, right? But nailing this distinction is key. By the time we're done here, you'll be able to answer this one in your sleep.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, a quick trip back in time to see where psychology comes from. Then we'll tackle growth versus development head-on. After that, we'll cover the 5 big rules of development, walk through the key stages of life, and wrap up with the major influences and theories you need to know. Let's do this.
All right, first up, psychology's foundational journey from the soul to behavior. I know, you might be thinking, history, why? But trust me, understanding where these ideas came from helps make sense of why we focus so much on behavior today. It's a quick but important first step.
So check this out. Psychology's journey is pretty wild. It didn't start with what we think of today, with studies and data. Way back with Plato and Aristotle, it was all about the science of soul. Then it morphed into the science of mind, and later the science of consciousness. But here's the turning point, the moment that changes everything for us. In the 19th century, this guy, William Wundt, comes along and says, let's study what we can actually see and measure. He redefined psychology as the science of behavior, and bam, that's the foundation of everything we're talking about today.
Okay, here we go. Section 2, growth versus development. This is the absolute heart of the matter. Getting this distinction right is probably the single most important thing you can do to prep for this part of the exam. So let's really focus in.
Let's get this crystal clear. Growth, that's all about the numbers. It's quantitative. It's the stuff you can measure with a ruler or a scale, your height, your weight. It's the physical increase in size. Simple enough, right? But development, that's a whole different ballgame. It's qualitative. It's not just about getting bigger, it's about becoming more complex, more capable. We're talking mental, social, and emotional improvements. So here's the key takeaway. Growth is just one part of the massive puzzle that is development.
Now, if you're a visual learner, this table is about to be your new best friend. Look at this side by side. Growth, quantitative, physical, and it has a finish line. It stops when you reach maturity. And you can measure it directly, right? Kilograms, centimeters. Development, on the other hand, qualitative, totally holistic, covering the whole person, and it goes on for your entire life. And how do you measure it? Well, you can't, not really. You have to observe it. Seriously, screenshot this slide. It's the perfect quick glance summary for your revision.
Need a simple way to remember how long development lasts? Just remember this one powerful phrase, from womb to tomb. Seriously, say it out loud. It perfectly captures the idea. Your physical growth might stop in your late teens, but your development, your learning, your emotional changes, your wisdom, that journey continues literally from the moment you begin until the very end.
All right, Section 3, the 5 rules of development. So now that we've separated growth and development, let's dig into the principles that actually govern how development happens. Think of these as the fundamental rules of the road for human development.
Okay, let's run through these 5 rules. Number 1, continuity. It's a non-stop process. It doesn't just happen in spurts. Number 2, individual differences. This one's super important. It just means we all develop at our own unique pace. No 2 people are the same. Number 3, direction. This is fascinating. Development actually follows a physical pattern. It goes from head to toe and from the center of our body outwards. Number 4, general to specific. Think about a baby. First, they just kind of flail their whole arm, right? That's a general movement. Later, they learn to use their fingers to pick up a Cheerio. That's a specific skill. And finally, number 5, interrelation. This means everything is connected. Your physical, mental, and social selves are all tied together. You can't separate them.
So, we've got the rules. Now let's put them on a timeline. Section 4 is all about life's key stages. This is like a chronological map of a person's life, and you're definitely going to want to pay attention to the specific names for these stages. They love to ask about these on the exam.
Okay, let's walk through the timeline. It all starts before birth, in the prenatal stage, which is all about super fast physical growth. Then we have infancy, from birth to 2 years, where we're completely dependent. Now, heads up, these next 2 are big ones for the exam. Early childhood, from 2 to 6, is often called the toy age. This is also when language skills just explode. Right after that, you've got late childhood, from 6 to 12. This is the school age, where socialization really kicks into high gear. And of course, that leads us into adolescence, that wild period of transition and massive change. Knowing those nicknames, toy age and school age, is a must.
All right, we're on to our final section, influences and major theories. We've talked about what development is and how it happens, but what's driving it all? What makes us who we are? We're going to look at the two big factors, nature and nurture, and then meet a couple of the most important thinkers in this whole field.
You've probably heard of this one before, the classic nature versus nurture debate. It's super simple, really. Nature is your heredity. It's the genetic blueprint you inherit from your parents. Think of it as the raw materials you start with. Nurture, on the other hand, is your environment. It's everything else, your family, your school, the food you eat, the culture you grow up in. And here's the modern take. It's not nature versus nurture. It's nature and nurture, constantly working together to shape you.
And just to get specific on the nature side of things, here's a number to remember because it's a classic exam question. How many chromosomes do humans have? The answer is 46. They come in 23 pairs. You get 23 from one parent, 23 from the other, and that right there is the biological basis of your heredity.
Okay, time to meet two of the heavy hitters. You have to know these names. First up, Jean Piaget. When you hear Piaget, I want your brain to immediately scream cognitive development. He's the guy who came up with the 4 stages of how our ability to think and reason develops. He's all about the mind. Then you have Erik Erikson. When you hear Erikson, think psychosocial development. He gave us 8 stages that span our entire life, and each stage is defined by a specific social challenge we have to overcome. So for the test, it's simple. Piaget is thinking. Erikson is social development. Got it?
All right, let's wrap this all up with one final thought, a question to test yourself. Can development happen even after physical growth has completely stopped? Based on everything we've just covered, what do you think? The answer is a huge, resounding yes, absolutely. And that's the core idea here. Growth has an endpoint, but development, that's a lifelong journey. I hope this study guide helps you ace that exam.
This is the brief
Thanks.
on educational psychology. This material breaks down the foundational concepts of human development, demonstrating why decoding how we grow is kind of the ultimate cheat code for understanding human behavior. So we're taking a rapid journey from what psychology actually is, to how it defines our progress, to the folks who mapped out those rules. First up, let's look at the evolution of psychology. It started with ancient Greeks like Aristotle and Plato as the science of the soul, combining psyche and logos. But then, in the 19th century, Wilhelm Wundt established it as the science of behavior. Think of it like a camera finally coming into focus, moving from studying an invisible soul to tracking observable behavior. Second, we really have to separate growth from development. See, growth is quantitative. It's purely physical size or weight, and it completely stops at maturity. Development, though, is qualitative and lifelong. It's a continuous womb-to-tomb process of mental, social, and moral evolution. I mean, you stop growing in your 20s, but do you ever actually stop developing? Finally, to map all this out, we look at nature and nurture. Lifelong development is fueled by nature, our heredity, specifically those 23 pairs or 46 total chromosomes, colliding with nurture, meaning our environment and nutrition. Famous frameworks map this for us. Jean Piaget tracked 4 stages of cognitive development, while Erik Erikson charted 8 stages of psychosocial development. It's really not random. Development is the exact sum of our genetic blueprint multiplied by our life experiences. Ultimately, realizing that human development is a lifelong collision of biology and environment is the real key to unlocking how we learn.